call your members of parliament and whip them and you tell them to go and repeal that law. Stop bothering the downtrodden and the already oppressed and intimidated avocado farmers. Unawasumbua bure. Wewe ita wabunge wako kwenda uambiwe ende bungeni wakabadilisha sheria. Those are just people who are drunk of power, and we shall remind them very loudly that we are past that era.
It's not gonna work?
We will shout at Professor Kindiki. We will wail at you. We will heckle you, Professor. Because that is our right. Kenyans have a right to express themselves in whichever manner and any manner they so wish. Mr. Gachagua is a bootlicker.
You can't say that.
He does not have a spine.
Can't you be any polite?
He's spineless. Completely spineless. That he actually confirmed once that he's a Mr. Yes.
What a privilege, what an honor to have you on Richard Mwenja Exclusive, your only point of call on matters, politics and governance, coming to you straight from none other than Ndegwa & Ndegwa Company Advocate Offices. Of course, joining me in a few is none other than the senior partner here, Wakili Ndegwa Njiru. But first things first, it's always a pleasure to have you on board. And today we're going to discuss a plethora of issues in the world of politics and governance, starting from President Ruto to politics of Mount Kenya region. Ndegwa Njiru, welcome on board.
Yes, Richard.
How are you doing?
No, I'm doing well, my brother. Yeah.
How is the Easter season coming along for you?
People are not enthusiastically looking forward for the Easter.
Why though? Cost of living, perhaps?
The cost of living has really beaten them up. And everybody's feeling the pinch, irrespective of whom you are and where you are. So Easter is going to be a moment of mourning for many of us. Yes.
Does that somewhat explain why President Ruto, in his recent development tours in Kericho, Bomet, and many other regions in the country, he has been receiving hostile crowds, even in his political backyards?
Yes.
I mean, what could be informing these hostile crowds he's meeting?
Basically, that is one of the reasons that is causing this uproar.
Heckling and all.
Yes, and I am beseeching Kenyans and pleading with the Kenyans that whenever you see him, scream. Whenever you see him, shout. Whenever you see him, heckle at him. Well, do all manner of take all manner of means that will help you express your dissatisfaction. Because the freedom of expression is a constitutional right. And Article 33 of our Constitution. Fortunately, the Constitution does not tell us how and when you should express yourself. So if this guy is happy when we are singing and drumming at him and dancing when we are happy, he should also be man enough to also accommodate the other alternatives of self-expression. When we are happy, we laugh. When we are angry or sad, we cry.
But then again, we have seen a recent directive from CS Interior Kithure Kindiki that henceforth all hecklers, their organizers and their financiers will be charged and prosecuted. Are you saying that his threats are dead on arrival because you are saying it's a constitutional right?
That actually is a nonsensical directive. It has no force of law. It has no effect. It has no place in this country. Those are just people who are drunk of power. And we shall remind them very loudly that we are past that era.
It's not going to work?
We will shout at Professor Kindiki. We will wail at you. We will heckle you, Professor. Because that is our right. Kenyans have a right to express themselves in whichever manner and any manner they so wish.
Him and DP Gachagua believe that we should not address the king in public.
Let me ask you, why is it after 60 years of independence, William Ruto is the one who is receiving such kind of treatment? It tells you that the crowd is completely dissatisfied and disconnected with him.
Barely 2 years into office?
Yes. Number two, isn't he, William Ruto, Isn't it your government? Wasn't it your policy in 2027 that you taught us how to heckle? Isn't you who taught us how to shout at each other? So you made your bed, sleep on it. We cannot have kind words, Mr. Richard.
But the DP is trying to play the role of the second in command to cover his boss. Do you support that move from the DP Gachagua?
But you see,
telling people from Mount Kenya not to heckle at the president?
Mr. Gachagua is a bootlicker.
You can't say that.
He does not have a spine.
Can't you be any polite?
He's spineless. Completely spineless. That he actually confirmed once that he's a Mr. Yes. So his opinions do not matter, they don't count.
Are you saying he's primitive?
His view, not me who's actually said it's primitive, his boss did say that. It's not me.
You still hold that thought, that he is?
He himself, Gachagua, has confirmed that he's an average person.
How comes he's an average person when he has made that subtle art of going to apologize to the Kenyatta's family, asking for Momangina's...
He is not apologizing because he's being subtle.
Why then is he doing it?
He has been placed between a hard place and a rock. He has found himself in a situation that he's not able to manage and understand.
Are you saying doom?
Yeah, of course. The chickens have come home to roast. Yes.
For someone who proclaims to be the kingpin of Mount Kenya?
Richard.
One who said he has flattened the mountain that is the Kenyatta's institution or movement?
Let me tell you. You cannot joke around with rich people. You can't. Kenyatta will crush Gachagua with his little pennies. Those small pennies that he has cannot match Kenyatta's.
Even in their retirement, they can flatten.
Yes, they will.
Gachagua.
Remember, politics has always been influenced by rich people and tycoons and wealthy people. Gachagua is crying out loud because he is under siege. He's under siege from his boss. Nobody respects him. The other day when they went to bury Kiptum, you saw somebody else, Kasudi, trying to cross him, right?
Yeah, sure.
Until Mr. William Ruto had to push
Oscar Sudi
away. It tells you that the guy is exposed. Mr. Gachagua is politically weak, and nobody respects him.
Are you trying to signal that maybe his apology to the Kenyatta's family isn't genuine?
It's not genuine. He's trying to consolidate himself and trying to get the community sympathy, because he knows and understands that the Mount Kenya people have realized that they were lied to, that Uhuru Kenyatta at the end of the day is not the devil that he was painted to be.
But Gachagua is trying to give Mount Kenya people a new lease of life, all thanks to his fight against illicit brew. And this why he has said he's having a rosy path because he did quit alcohol.
Life, Richard? Did you say a new lease of life?
Because many in Mount Kenya are sunk into depression and alcoholism.
Let me ask you, okay, we all cannot fail to appreciate that alcoholism is a menace in Mount Kenya region, but not just in Mount Kenya region, in Kenya. In matter of fact, if there are guys who have been bogged down by these drugs, are the people at the coast. So we must appreciate that this is a menace. There is a social disorder somewhere, but doesn't just begin with the local brews or illicit brews. It also begins with the way our families are currently brought up. You see, there was a reason why the Constitution provided that the family is the fundamental unit of every society.
The basic unit.
It's a basic fundamental unit. So the society begins from a family. So if most of the families that we are now bringing are broken up families, there is perhaps one parent who is missing, or their families that are not well-founded.
Dysfunctional and all.
And they're dysfunctional. That aspect of dysfunctionality, when these children grow, will also be reflected in the larger society. So other than just addressing the question of illicit blues, let's also understand why is there a very serious fundamental societal breakdown, so that then we begin to address the disease other than the symptoms.
I would say
you see, for example, for me,
sure.
My dad kept on telling us, kula haki yako. When we are growing up, we knew kula haki yako as a policy. You understand?
Sure.
My mom if you made a mistake and during those days when you be beaten, the person who has actually admitted that I have done this was pardoned. The person who has refused and denied that mimi nimefanya hivi mom was caned. Why? They were trying to inculcate in us the altitude and the virtue of accountability and transparency and honesty, that you can own up to something. So any person who ever owned up to the mistake that he has done, mom and dad would always punish them. So that aspect has taught me, and those are the virtues that I'm actually even enjoying to date, that there is need for there to be transparency, accountability, integrity, transparency, all those things. So if those things were able to be taught me by my dad and my mom, and then we are now living up to those creeds. Imagine if those creeds were inculcated in each and every family. Would we not be having a sober society? Would we not be having a society that is accountable? Would we not be having a society that is full of good virtues? So the family we must relook at how we constitute our families today.
Are you then pointing to the directions that this fight against alcohol and illicit brew could be a misplaced priority for the DP and maybe more of populism? Are you saying that?
It is. Mr. Gachagua is trying to regain his lost glory. Because when he was DO at Gachagua, he actually oversaw those local blows. When he came to Limuru, we have seen from the newspaper where he was telling the bar owners that lazima mulete chai ya mkubwa. So he has a lot of odds that he needs first of all to repent. And that reminds me that before even attempts to apologize to the Kenyattas, when Jesus Christ met Zacchaeus,
the tax collector, and Zacchaeus repented and wanted to meet Jesus, the first thing he did, he returned anything that he had collected. It's biblical. You want to say he should borrow leave from Zacchaeus?
Gachagua must therefore borrow leave from Zacchaeus. Kwanza rudisha kondoo.
Northlands.
Rudisha kondoo uko Northland bwana Gachagua. Currently, in Mount Kenya region, you cannot even buy a kondoo there for purposes of
merrymaking, perhaps?
Magongona is sacrifices or cleansing sacrifices.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Why? Because all those, you may go and buy condos there and buy the one that was stolen from Northlands. You understand?
Sure.
And therefore you cannot use it for magongonas, or you cannot use it for sacrifices or for rituals, because
they'll be blemished.
It's a lamp with blemish. So let him return the condos first, so that we clean all the flocks, tujue kondoo za Uhuru zimerudishwa, and therefore we can be able to take condos from Mount Kenya region and use them to cleanse him.
Are you pointing to the direction that maybe is not the best example that we have as a country, not just in the fight against alcoholism, but also when it comes to changes and revolutions in the economic and political space?
It would be a wild imagination to think that Mr. Gachagua has ever portrayed himself as a good example.
That is the best you can profile your DP?
It would be serious wild imaginations, perhaps that also needs some psychiatric intervention for you to think that Gachagua can be an example even to himself and to the country. He's indeed the person who started hurling those insults. Uhuru Kenyatta has never hurled those insults. Her Excellency Mama Ngina has never hurled those insults.
So I could be misused in English.
Sorry?
I could be misused in English saying Gachagua is probably the best ambassador.
You're not just even misusing English, you are abusing it.
Very well, moving on swiftly with this conversation. And it is not just Gachagua who is seeking apology for those he has wronged, particularly the Kenyatta's family. We are seeing Moses Kuria, CS Public Service, borrow leave from Gachagua, and this fire said anyone he has aggrieved in his political past, he is sorry for those messes. Why are we seeing a sudden change of heart among politicians who are not allied to the Kenyatas or even Raila Odinga?
Because they have realized they need President Uhuru Kenyatta's support for them to survive politically. It's not a sincere apology.
It isn't?
It's an apology that has strings attached. And they know that Kenyans are not with them, we are with Uhuru. Because whatever Uhuru told us has come to pass. Uhuru is now our prophet. He's a Kenyan prophet. He warned us, we never heard. we can now see it in our lifetime. So why should we not believe him? And because they know who will play a major role in 2027, they want to be in his good books. I say and I pray unto you, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and your family, do not be convinced by these naive apologies. And I think Mr. Gachagua is underestimating the Kenyattas. He's seriously underestimating them.
Going back as a prodigal son won't be a walkover for Gachagua and Kuria?
His boss has already said that next time you're going to be taking a woman, unless he converts to a woman guild. That's where his luck would be. Let me ask you, what value is there, what political value is there in Gachagua? Gachagua cannot transit to anything else other than what he is. He cannot even create excitement in the Mount Kenya region and even the country.
Even at the time when he says Karua and Kioni should consult him first before the Limuru 3 meeting.
Who should consult
before the Limuru 3 meeting? They have to consult him as the senior most political leader from the region.
Let me tell him, we are free, we are not under his yoke. We will meet as and when we so wish and where we want to meet. He has nothing to do, or we have nothing to do with him consulting him whether we should meet at Limuru 3 or not. But we, however, also extend the invitation to you so that you may also attend Mr. Gachagua if you so wish. And if you feel that you also come from Mount Kenya region, it's an open invitation. He can also attend. But he's attending just like any other Mwananchi from Mount Kenya region.
Not as the self-proclaimed political kingpin of Mount Kenya?
Or political kingpin. Who tells him that he's a political kingpin? We are Toshi Mboga. In Mount Kenya region, the Mudegi, which was given to Uhuru by Wazez, is still with him. And there can never be two Mudegis. The Mudegi is the staff.
So for Mother Karua and Jeremiah Kioni, any engagement with the DP Gachagua should be considered a poison chalice?
I do not even think that it is a possibility that there can be such kind of a negotiation or intrusion. It is, again, you think to stretch your imaginations to think that can actually happen. Because William Ruto is looking at his succession, right?
Sure.
Mr. Gachagua cannot be a president. He does not have the capacity, he does not have the ability, he does not have the wherewithals, he does not have the charisma, he does not have the wisdom, he does not have the favor of the people, and I even suppose the favor of God.
Advancing this conversion smoothly.
So William knows that you cannot peg your succession on a man who can be nothing.
A political greenhorn, perhaps?
He's not even a political greenhorn. At least some greenhorn, you can see there's some bit of growth. But this guy, there is no advancement from his DO attitudes and mentality. He's still a DO.
He's yet to have his Damascus moment, you believe?
It can never occur to him.
It can never?
He has never taken that route to Damascus. If he had taken the route to Damascus, perhaps God would have revealed himself or revealed himself to the donkey.
In the interest of time, Ndegwa and Njiru, this conversation is really gaining huge temperatures, rising ones.
Yes.
Very lastly, the push to have Ndindi Nyoro, the chairperson for the Budget and Appropriations Committee, as the DP in 2027 is somewhat gaining traction, which of course is said to be a thorn in the flesh of DP Gachagua. But let me ask you, what could have informed this early move for people endorsing Ndindi Nyoro and not Gachagua? Who should ascend to that seat?
When you see that happening in Mount Kenya region, look at where that force is coming from. Mr. William Ruto is responsible for that division in the Mount Kenya region. That's why he's trying to help and portray Ndindi Nyoro as an alternative. But even he himself cannot be an alternative.
You don't consider Ndindi Nyoro to hold the water enough?
Unfortunately, he belongs to the category of the category of Gachagua. He cannot transit into anything else other than what he is.
So that means there could be a third alternative, which most likely is Kimani Ichung'wah.
Don't even speak about those Kimani Ichung'wahs. Ask yourself about what is going in the minds of the youths that gathered at Githunguri. You cannot underwrite them. If they can do a social event successfully like what they did, they can also successfully engage in politics.
So you can't impose on them Ndindi Nyoro.
So you cannot impose
and they
on
endorse
them.
him.
Yeah, they did a funeral worth 10 millions without the assistance of the local politicians, as we know it. They changered money within themselves. So if they want to changia a president, they can changia a person to become president. So I'm telling you, they used to wake up. They have an opportunity that they must seize so that it can help us get out of this menace.
You're from central Kenya,
Yes.
and the son of the soil, DP Gachagua, promised you
Please
change.
stop using those terms. You're misusing those terms. Don't misapply them. Use a language that we can understand. When you speak about the son of the soil, who tells you that Gachagua is more son of the soil than I am? Even my placenta is in Mount Kenya region, just like that of his.
All right.
So you become the son of the soil by the dint of where your placenta is.
I stand guided.
Yes.
Ndegwa Njiru, he promised economic fortunes for the region, starting from fighting cartels in the dairy sector, in the coffee sector, in the tea sector, and a number of other reforms, agriculturally speaking. This why we are seeing him pick a new fight against alcoholism. Is it likely to succumb to the same fate as those one in the tea, dairy, and other sectors?
From the experience that we have now been able to garner, is that Mr. Gachagua is a perpetual and ordained failure.
He has not crushed the cartels?
Perpetual and ordained failure. Whatever he touches, he never finishes. So, telling me that he's also going to deal with the illicit blues, yet his government is the one that licensed the 62 manufacturers which Uhuru had closed down. Where is the sincerity in this? They are not sincere.
Are dairy, tea, and coffee farmers smiling to the bank in Mount Kenya?
It can never be. There's nothing like that. Recently, the avocado farmers are crying because of taxation.
Sure.
Isn't it his government that passed this law? So I'm even wondering, why is he meeting avocado farmers at Karen? To do what? Meet the members of parliament. Tell them to go and repeal that provisions. When you call a coffee farmer or you call an avocado farmer for a meeting to consult whether taxation should be paid, and the law says that taxation should be paid, and it is your government that has created that law, whom should you call? Isn't that a misplaced opportunity and priority? Call your members of parliament and whip them and you tell them to go and repeal that law. Stop bothering the downtrodden and the already oppressed and intimidated avocado farmers. Unawasumbua bure. Wewe ita wabunge wako kwenda uambiwe ende bungeni wakabadilisha sheria.
To clear the air, Ndegwa Njiru, you are a coffee farmer.
Yes.
There are many other farmers from tea and dairy sector.
Yes.
Are they still disappointed?
We are completely disappointed. First of all, the fertilizer that was given to us is fake fertilizer. Fake. Nothing seems to work in this country.
Subsidizing production?
That subsidy was subsidy for corruption, as you put it. It was a means of meeting, for men to meet at the table and decide how to cool our economy. That is exactly what happened. Fertilizer that we got is fake. I'm even telling farmers not to go for it. Why should you go for fake thing? You see?
Isn't this likely to portend more doom for Gachagua, who promised much for farmers in Mount Kenya?
Doom was spelled long time ago. We are only waiting for the 2nd of August 2027. Tuonyeshe kivumbi.
It could happen early in the morning?
One term. People are saying dictatorship tawe, Gachagua tawe, William Ruto tawe.
With or without Raila Odinga in the picture, he's still going to be a one-term?
With or without Raila Odinga, the guy is going to be a one-term president. I've told you to just think of what is happening in the minds of the youths who met there at Githunguri. None of us know. They never gave a broadcast or an invitation that we are meeting. They never issued a notice. But over 10,000 people met yesterday to bury a young man, as young, I think, as 20-something years old. They met. Nobody knew that they were meeting. Nobody knew the routes that they were taking. But all routes seems to have been leading to Githunguri. It all happens in our mind and in our gadgets. And therefore we shall use our gadgets properly, the phones and the
digital media
and
law.
the digital media to make sure that we initiate the change that we want.
Honestly speaking, Ndegwa Njiru, you are a flying lawyer and a seasoned governance expert. Do you think you could have done any better were you in the position of DP Gachagua?
Yes, I would have. I would have done much more better. One thing, I would have given hope to people.
True hope, genuine hope?
How do you know how you begin by giving hope?
Tell me.
Is by putting into place mechanisms that will create strict policies on governance.
With David D by your side?
Well, he may or he may not be, but the issue here is you fix governance first, and everything else comes or falls into place. How do you fix governance? You fix governance by strict adherence to the law. If you adhere to the law as it is, then you fix governance.
Sure.
You weed out corruption, you weed out bribery, you streamline our courts, you strengthen our courts by making sure that you respect the independence of the judiciary. You respect the independence of other institutions. You understand?
Sure.
So then you also do not abuse your office by using police officers to go and beat our people at Davivi. You understand? So if you fix governance, everything else will have a ripple effect. So that is what these guys are not able to do. It is much more than speaking rhetorics and calling people for chai and photo sessions. It goes much more even to issues of ensuring that the rule of law is followed as it is.
To the latter.
Yes.
Well, that point by Advocate of the High Court of Kenya, Ndegwa Njiru, takes us to the wrap of this conversation, talking matters to do with need for change to happen in Kenya today, if not yesterday. And he has implored you as citizens and taxpayers at large to make informed political and economic decisions, and even social decisions in the near future. Ndegwa Njiru, always a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you, Richard.
Today looking extremely elegant.
Oh, thank you, Richard.
What informs your fashion choice today?
No, you owe it to my wife. Yeah.
Oh, the amazing Danu Lorraine.
Yes. And you know, we are blessed with a little girl, six weeks now.
Wangoi. Extremely beautiful.
That's my mother.
It was an honor to meet her the other day.
Yes, you actually came to the hospital, I remember.
And I did a portrait of her.
I did, and I gave it to her, and I've actually printed that portrait. And we are greatly humbled.
Asante sana. We wait to see you on our next edition.
It's a pleasure.
And it's such an honor to have you as our Easter special project.
Oh, thank you.
Many people asking for you out here.
Oh.
How comes you're such a darling to many people?
I don't know. It's God's grace and favor, but also being consistent with what you believe in, and portraying what you believe in. For me, I've refused to become complacent. I've refused to become a conformist. I've decided to speak out the truth as it is. So if the coffee farmers and avocado farmers are being oppressed, I'll speak and say that they are being oppressed.
Very well.
So when Gachagua comes and says that he has a solution for them, and I know he doesn't have one, I'll tell them that Gachagua is lying to you. He does not have a solution for you. Yes.
I think that's why many people from diaspora are really
Oh, thank you very much.
really love you. They say you are their voice, much as they are miles away.
Yes, and by the way, even the diaspora people, we are filing a case on this housing bill. They have instructed me to go and have it interrogated by the court, because the diasporas are also being taxed. You understand?
Sure.
And we're going to be going to court.
Asante sana. This coverage was coming to you straight from Ndegwa and Ndegwa Company Advocates, where Ndegwa Njiru is a senior partner here. We say many thanks to a battery of other lawyers who normally receive us here and make sure that this production run on smoothly. We don't take it for granted, and keep this conversation going beyond here. Matmwenche Richard across all social media platforms. You can reach out to Ndegwa Njiru at Njiru Advocate on Twitter and on TikTok as well. We wait to see you on our next edition.